I'm always trying to find ways to protect us plants in the most natural way possible, without having to use things like slug pellets or other chemicals. And it can be quite challenging when it comes to things like your hostas. We've got quite a few of these. Really nice looking plants. Perennials as well, so they completely die back in winter and then they emerge again come early spring. And that's exactly what these have done. There was nothing in this container only a couple of months ago, and now we've got this amazing new growth that's come through. And we've got various types as well. All really nice plants. Unfortunately, a big favourite amongst slugs. If slugs get into these containers, they'll devastate those leaves in no time. And you just end up with a plant that looked amazing like these to a plant that's basically just full of torn up leaves, which is just not attractive at all. So last year I tried a way of protecting these plants without having to buy anything from shops, save a little bit of money. And I came up with a solution and it actually worked really well. And that were these holly leaves. We've got an holly tree in garden, but if you haven't got an holly tree in garden, I'm sure you can find one somewhere. And I basically just cut away all these leaves. Really nasty, spiky little things. And slugs hate that kind of terrain. They'll not bother at all. So basically what I did is, I went round and I weeded all these containers, got rid of any of that dead winter foliage. Start off with a nice clean area. And then I just filled all around base with these hostas with these very undesirable, nasty little leaves. Putting enough in there to completely cover all around the base of these plants. And I was also trying to select the smallest leaves because then I can pack them in there more densely than the big ones. So by the time I finished, that's what we've got. A blanket of holly leaves. And all those densely packed leaves with all those little spikes on is probably the most undesirable terrain for any soft-bellied creature to decide to try and cross. And as a result of doing that, on all the zoster plants, we didn't get a single leaf with a single bite out of it all year long. So it was well worth doing, and it was free. It just took a little bit of time, and we had amazing looking hostas all year long. So if you've got hosta plants and you keep getting attacked by slugs every year, so by the time it gets to summer and they should be in full growth, they're looking tatty and tired, then try this method, see if that works for you, because it definitely did for me. And I also find that if you keep these type of plants in partial sun, they seem to do a lot better as well. I've got one or two more that I need to have a look at and do the exact same thing so I know they're protected. And that's one less worry we've got going through season. We've got enough on looking after the plants in these raised beds, greenhouses and containers without having to worry about these type of plants when we can sort that out with just a couple of snips and no expense at all. Apart from the hostas, you've always got problems with your more tender crops. Things like your French beans, which it seems that slugs adore, and they destroy the leaves on them in no time. Your cucumber plants and peppers, not so much things like tomatoes and potatoes, they always seem to be completely untouched. But these type of plants, once targeted, really struggle. The problem with using holly leaves around your vegetable plants is they do secrete a light poisonous substance, which can lead to things like irritation and itching when it gets on your hands. So I don't think it'd be a good idea to put holly leaves around the base of all your tender crops, because if any of that is taken in through the root system, then I would assume it could lead to a bitter and upset stomach, which is definitely something we don't want. So you've got to try and find other solutions to protect your vegetable plants. And it's just an ongoing war year after year that you never ever seem to win. But you can reduce the effects to some extent. They might not be 100% effective, but something's better than nothing. And last year we was using wood chippings around some of the plants because it can be quite sharp, rough terrain, things that those sort of creatures don't like. Anything that's off-putting might make them turn in a different direction, so everything's worth a try. Even to the extent where some people will grow plants in certain areas just for slugs to eat and try and divert them away from your main crops. It's not something I've ever done, but I have heard that people's done it in past and they've just mainly flocked to that one area. But you've got your old things that people do, things like beer traps, which is something that I've never been keen on doing because I do like beer. But apart from that, it doesn't look very nice at the end of the day. Some people even go to the extremes where they'll go out at night time with torches and try and find them because that's when they're most active, and just pick them off and chuck them into buckets of salt. Again, not my thing, but some people do it. You can get copper tape that you can use to create barriers around your raised beds or your containers. I've not tried those yet, but I was thinking about trying those this year around some of the containers that we've got, since we have got quite a lot of desirable plants in that container garden, which is something we'll get to on another video. But if you have got small containers, you could put things like sawdust or sand around the bottoms of those plants, because things like that will dry the skin out of the slugs. They're drawing moisture from them, which once again is definitely not desirable to those, and they may just turn around and go elsewhere. You can also put bran around your plants, because for some reason slugs love bran and they'll gorge on it to a point where they become really bloated, while at the same time they're becoming dehydrated as well. And although that doesn't kill them, when they make a retreat after having the fill, it makes them a lot slower and easier pickings for birds. There's the old way where people used to use crushed eggshells, which does work to some extent, but as with everything else, it's not 100% effective. I don't think we find anything yet that is, but just be aware that if you do use eggshells, don't crush them up and chuck them straight in your garden, otherwise you're going to attract rats, and rats will also eat your vegetables. Apart from the fact that you definitely don't want rats in your garden. So what you need to do with those is clean them out properly and then bake them in oven until they go all crispy, and then they're perfectly fine for putting round the tops of your containers. So then you've got another cost-free deterrent from something you would normally put in bin. I wouldn't put salt around your plants, but it's also going to get absorbed into your compost, so you're going to be changing the pH by doing that, and it could have an adverse effect on your plants. So when it comes to osters, the olive leaves are really effective, but we've got all those other little things that we can try every single year, and if we can knock it down by half, it's got to be worth that effort. And for me personally, as a last resort, I'd use slug pellets. They are something that I try and keep away from year after year. You can get organic slug pellets now, but still, I'd rather try other methods where possible. There's one way now that you can definitely protect all these oster plants and stop them from that devastating effect of that onslaught of slugs and snails all year long. The battle to win the war against slugs on your vegetable patch still goes on, and I'm sure it will continue to go on for years and years. But we have got a few ideas that might help you to some extent. If you want to see what we're doing over the weekend, please hit that subscribe button and press that notifications bell, and we'll see you then. Take care.